Hello. There are some spotter tips and information links I would like to share with you in this video as we progress through. This is recorded ahead of time, so if you have any questions, please direct them to my email. It is kd0ael@gmail.com, and I will repeat that later in the video. Who am I? I am Patty. I am KD0AEL, the volunteer coordinator for Southwest Missouri Skywarn Spotters. What I hope to teach you today is where to get timely information about weather and where to get advanced information on systems that are coming. For local weather, please go to weather.gov. And for our specific region, the link is www.weather.gov/SGF. In here, you can actually enter your location. For example, Rolla, Missouri, and click go. It will bring up the closest ASOS to you that would have your local weather information. All of this does, though, come out of the Springfield office of the National Weather Service. When you do put in your location, for example, this came up Kaiser Lake Ozark Lee Fine Memorial Airport, giving current conditions and an extended weather outlook. Further down on that same page gives you a write-up of what to expect from your weather. Going back to the first page that we started on, there are a number of links to choose from. The Enhanced Hazardous Weather Outlook is a great one to choose from, but there's many more in here. Information on Skywarn boating safety, information on severe weather briefs. One that I use quite frequently is the forecast discussion, which goes into depth on what to expect from the weather. The Enhanced Hazardous that I referenced gives you a great number of options here and what to expect and what day to expect them. For example, in this particular example, it expects severe thunderstorms on Friday, Saturday, severe storms possible the day that this was grabbed, the next day and the following day. Lightning risks are also highlighted in here. And here are your risk levels. When you hit red, that's usually when the storms will be possible in the next 3 hours. Local to you, also on that page, zone area forecast, your own forecast discussion, etc. You can also access radar from there. Receiving information. This is a great one, INWS. This brings mobile text alerts to you. You can set it for your county or for the region or for multiple counties. When you go in to sign up for this, there are options there as volunteers with the Weather Service. Would you rather know your information a little ahead of time? The Storm Prediction Center. They give outlooks up to 8 days ahead of time. Convective outlooks, current watches, any mesoscale discussions where they have storms that they are watching for development, any current storm reports, and the meso analysis is basically the radar. On to the right, any watches, mesoscale discussions, any outlooks, and fire outlooks. Going into convective outlooks, current day 1, day 2, day 3. You can choose from these, or if you'd rather, you can select one and just progress through on that page. Let's back up on that. For example, current day 2 or day 3 would be affecting our area. There will be a write-up in there on what they expect. Also, possibly the timing of expecting that. Are they expecting tornadoes, severe storms, heavy rain? It's all in there. Understanding thunderstorm risk categories. This is important to know, and it's highlighted in color. We often see marginal or slight risk. Enhanced, moderate, and high. The confidence increases with the category. Back to the main page. From here, we're going to select mesoscale discussions. You will see a circle of the areas of concern. You can click on those or go down to the mesoscale discussion as highlighted. That will then bring up a map of the area that they are monitoring at that time, what the area actually is, and what the probability will be that they will be issuing a watch in that area. Back to the main page once again. From there, we select the watches. At the time of this selection, there were tornado watches in effect along the East Coast. And again, as with the mesoscale discussions, you can select each one of those and bring up particular details. What the watch is, there's a write-up on the bottom that tells you what the watch is, for how long, and what areas are affected. At the top, you can actually select counties, what the probabilities are, and any current warnings that may be in effect at the time of the discussion. If you want to learn more from that main page from the SPC, there are a number of forecast tools. These are great as you start learning to read the model data. You can actually learn for yourself what you might expect and what the probabilities are in your area. A reminder of what the risk categories are, and storm report trends, which can be kind of interesting. Fire weather, as I mentioned earlier, is also highlighted in there across the nation. Watches and warnings. We all hear these. What do they really mean? Warnings, the hazard is occurring, imminent, or likely. A watch is a risk. That means that in the near future, so be on the alert. An advisory, there is a weather hazard occurring. An outlook is a risk of weather hazard in the next 7 days. Are you prepared for the severe weather? Do you know your forecast? Do you know if there's any watches? Do you know if there's any warnings? Have multiple ways of getting this. Even as amateur radio operators, we have a number of tools that are not necessarily our radio to get that. Though we do try on the regional network to put those out when there's things that we need to be aware of in the future. Tornado terms, conditions favorable for severe storms and tornadoes equals a watch. A warning, tornadoes confirmed by spotter, rotation detected on radar, or even a radar determined tornado, which we are learning about in our new training from the National Weather Service. We will see that in the warnings itself. It will say radar confirmed, spotter confirmed, or etc. Tornado emergency. There's a large confirmed tornado in a highly populated area. That is an urgent condition. Usually debris balls are detected with these. We saw this in Nashville, Tennessee the other night. That was a tornado emergency. Please know the difference between the watch and warning. Be prepared as needed and take action when needed. As spotters, being prepared might be get mobile and get out there where you know you can see storms coming in your direction. You can work that out with your local net control. Be sure to check in if you go out and let your net control know your location. If you move, it's important to let them know so they can be prepared to watch out after you. If you've heard this one, potentially dangerous situation. This is a tornado watch that we don't want to hear here, but we have heard here. And that means confidence is extremely high in long-track dangerous tornadoes. Enhanced risk of very severe and life-threatening weather, usually major tornado outbreaks. long-lived extreme derecho events, or possible other weather hazards such as exceptional flash flooding. Have reliable radar and communications. Interactive radars are fair. They do give us an idea of where things are at the road level. Media-provided radars and warnings are a bit delayed because of the digital quality of them and the number of servers they go through, but they are fairly good. Radar Scope is a very good app. I use this myself. But however you receive the warnings and watches, be sure that they follow you and your location. Here's the truth behind spotting. A lot of what we do as spotters is boring. We drive out miles and miles and miles and miles. We take up a spot and we sit and we wait. A lot of times with our snacks, our sodas. Chasers will drive thousands of miles to get 30 seconds worth of video. We don't drive that far, but we do drive a lot of miles just for a storm to blast through that might last a minute. Know your enemy. He is crafty and brings many hazards. Our hazards: winds over 58 miles per hour, hail of quarter size or greater, lightning is a number 2 killer, and no way to directly warn the intensity yet. Tornadoes can spawn from any severe thunderstorm. But our big concern here in the Ozarks is flooding. It is the number 1 killer. If you are out mobile spotting, please have good ways in and out and know your flooding areas when you go. Don't get yourself trapped in and become a statistic. A little brief on what we're out there watching. This is a quasi-linear convective system, otherwise known as a squall line. We've been going over this in radar training, so I won't dwell a lot here, but this is what it looks like on radar. Reflectivity. It might be a little tornado on this one. This is what it may look like when it's coming at you. Another view. And another view, depending on your perspective. The wind can be 10 to 15 miles out ahead of your shelf cloud. So know that the wind comes first on a derecho or a squall line. They are very striated. They can have little notches in them. And often you'll see little fingers coming out because of the winds pushing the clouds. Supercell reflectivity is our C-shaped cell. Tornado would be down in this area probably. Hopefully our spotters are down here in a safe place. Tornado supercell velocities. And I won't dwell a lot there. Polygonal warnings. This is something that came out a number of years ago, and people still don't realize they don't warn a whole county necessarily anymore. Polygons are selected based on the best track of that storm and what they project it to be. So anywhere from, say, Crowley to Westover Hills in this example, up almost to Irving, and down to the south and west of Cedar Hill is what they call the polygon. And that is where they anticipate the severe weather to track. Another good example of this based on velocities and based on reflectivities. In the field, I use Radar Scope. I have this on my tablet. I have this on my phone. Once you purchase this app, and it's a one-time fee, I believe it may be $10.99 now. This will go across platforms, and you do not have to pay an extra fee. You get some very good radar on this. It also provides you, if you notice here, the number, that is the number of warnings across the country at this time. You can select that and read the individual warnings. It shows storm tracks, it shows lightning, a great little app, and I actually paid for Tier 1, which is a one-time fee yearly of $10.99. There is additional radar training out there if you have not had an opportunity to Here, one of our great guys from the National Weather Service with the radar training this year. It's located on my YouTube channel. Did record that a couple of years ago. Doug Kramer does a great job on his. I want to share with you now a video that tells about the unpredictable nature of storms. And we may think we know it all, we may know what to look for, but I think that Pecos Hank does a great job here in outlining the unpredictable nature of storms. He's a tremendous chaser, but he's great with education. Please take a moment and watch his video as well, because you will see that what we think we know, we don't necessarily know. Oops.
A supercell was cruising northeast at 30 miles per hour. A supercell was cruising northeast at 30 miles per hour. After an hour of trailing the storm, I finally caught up to it, and as if waiting for me, it dropped a glorious tornado. What the tornado does next, I would have never thought was possible.
That sucker's coming towards me. I gotta go.
This video is about deviant tornadoes, unpredictable traps, and the barrage of deadly hazards awaiting storm chasers.
Go, 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 go.
After tailing the parent supercell northeast for an hour, it was surprising to see its tornado tracking the opposite direction. Though deviating from its projected path, it was moving slow enough for me to have some confidence to allow it to approach close enough to practically eat out of my hand. At this range, you really see the detail in the suction vortices, the smaller evil tornadoes inside the tornado.
And it's right there.
This close, the condensation funnel looks like an angel of death. A twisted waterfall writhing in reverse back into the heavens. A flutter in the windfield swayed the tornado into a graceful sort of ghost ballet. After a pirouette, the tornado glided back over its previous steps. I always wonder if the owners of the house had any idea their home narrowly dodged destruction. Twice. Witnessing an apparition like this is truly otherworldly, but this spectacle comes at the ultimate risk. Tornadoes can be deceptive and unpredictable. They intensify, grow, morph, and deviate any direction. And at this range, there's almost no time to react, adjust, and escape when the unexpected occurs. I've witnessed tornadoes turn hard right, bank left, do U-turns, suddenly accelerate, and go in reverse. Besides evading erratic twists, storm chasers have to anticipate unforeseeable escape route entrapment. Maps may give you confidence that a maintained road will carry you to safety, but they fail to inform when a stalled 100-coach train is blocking your retreat.
Awesome.
Or when the bridge is out.
No. The road is blocked.
Maps don't show fallen trees, flooded roads, or the random deep potholes anxious to tear your wheel off its axle.
Hang on. Oh, slide. No. What's out here? Oh, that was awesome.
Out here, county roads often change from a sturdy gravel base to slippery, slimy mud, impossible to drive on even for 4x4s. and often the maps are just flat out wrong.
Holes. Supercell coming right for me. The roads are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. This could really clobber me.
If you see a tornado, there's an excellent chance large hail is in the vicinity. So ask yourself if you're prepared to tackle X factors with this going on.
That just came inside of my car and broke. Here's my windshield here.
When hail cracks your window, tiny shards of glass can fleck into your face and eyes, which is why safety glasses on standby is imperative. How fast can you escape on a road covered with icy golf balls, or a road buried in 6 to 12 inches of hail slush? Any thunderstorm out there could discharge a lightning bolt with your head's name on it at any time. And storm chasers all agree the most dangerous aspect of chasing are the many miles of commuting. Large gatherings of chasers tend to accumulate under isolated thunderstorm events, and more often than not, everyone chases in relative harmony. Experienced chasers can move fast together in tight caravans, and they pull completely off the road when pausing to film. Others, not so much. Whenever a high risk of tornadoes is forecast near a populated area, suddenly every Tom, Dick, and Harry with a camera phone in that county becomes a storm chaser and drives into their siren-blaring streets to catch their glimpse of the madness. In these situations, hordes of local sightseers and amateur chasers can clog the roads, often smashing into each other. In metropolitan areas, rush hour traffic times coincide with prime tornado time. That and a media-induced exodus can create an epic log jam of sitting ducks. For these reasons, many chasers avoid heavily populated areas altogether.
Many chasers avoid chasing populated areas.
Beautiful axis. There's also plenty of furry friends out there that don't want to get sucked up either.
Get out of the way, mule deer.
And others that are completely oblivious. This is what a car looks like after hitting a mule deer. Don't ask how the knife got bloody.
Look at that. Really? Oklahoma.
Oh my God, look at that rain wrap.
There are several other features feeding into and out of a supercell that are capable of blowing out your windows or rolling your vehicle. A surging rear flank downdraft wrapping powerful wind and rain around a developing tornado. Dangerous downbursts, straight line winds, and thin rivers of concentrated, powerful wind called inflow jets blasting into a feeding tornado. The perfect tornado is a well-lit, visible tube descending from a high base. The low precipitation storm mode allows you to marvel these tornadoes from miles away, but this is a rare experience, even for the most dedicated chasers. The more common experience is a rain-wrapped mess. These obscured tornadoes are difficult to see from a distance and thus can lure aggressive chasers in closer into an extremely dangerous trap. The boundaries of these tornadoes are less defined and almost invisible in the heavy rain. Many chaser vehicles have been rolled while driving right into these outer boundary tornado force winds.
We got a tornado right next to us. Look at this. There's a tornado right there. On the ground right behind me. Okay, we're inside circulation. Hang on. Tornado right behind me. Holy shit.
The definition of a tornado has been argued as a violently rotating column of air extending from a cumulonimbus cloud to the ground, even though some non-cumulonimbus clouds can produce landspout tornadoes. But a key word here is air. And air is usually invisible. This can make defining the boundary of the tornado visually confusing and making it closer than you calculated.
Back up. Come on, car, go.
This condensation funnel has a sharp, visible boundary, but there is still violently rotating air around the funnel. Thus, the actual tornado is wider than what is visible. In this case, dust and debris is being lifted, revealing the actual boundary. But this happened in dry conditions when present dust was easily lifted. So you can imagine in more wet conditions, when dust is absent or more reluctant to become airborne, there's often no dust cloud to reveal that boundary. In this tornado, there is no signature long condensation funnel to give away its presence, only a dust cloud. And check out this tornado. No condensation funnel or dust cloud, only a white whirling mist on the ground directly under a swirling base vaguely announced its existence. You can see clear air completely under this mesocyclone, and if you look closely here, you'll notice a brief suction vortices touch down with likely EF3 force winds. But EF1 force wind damage was recorded well beyond the suction vortices, out to the edge of the mesocyclone and beyond. Here's the more likely tornado force wind boundary. This is the birth of the tornado that killed 4 storm chasers and nearly a dozen others, the infamous El Reno 2013 tornado. It was this clear air deception underneath, as well as direction changing, unfathomable growth, and sudden increasing speed that made this tornado the most deadly ever to storm chasers yet. We've all seen the horror of what a powerful tornado is capable of doing. These are the stories replayed over and over by the media, and a common comment I see on this channel is, why would anyone ever live in Oklahoma?
I hope nobody was in this house.
Here are some quarter-century statistics those people might find surprising. In the last 25 years, Kansas has had only 57 tornado-related fatalities. That's just above 2 per year. Texas has had only 93, Mississippi 112, Arkansas 121, Oklahoma 131. Tennessee has had 175, Missouri 243, and Alabama leads this stat with 380, almost triple that of Oklahoma. But it only takes one worst-case scenario to tip the scales toward another state. On average, about 60 people are killed by tornadoes in the USA per year. Now stack that number against people that are killed in your town by homicide, or drugs, or heart disease. You may think it's crazy living in an area prone to monster tornadoes, but a true monster is clever enough not to be scary. It hides in plain sight, preying on our ignorance. It doesn't roar before it devours us, rather waits for us to openly invite it into our lives. Which leads me to another serious hazard of storm chasing. 4 storm chasers have died in action here in the USA, and 1 in every 4 people will die of heart disease here.
There it is. That's a giant.
Hank has done a beautiful job outlining the hazards that are out there that we face. For persons who live in extreme southwest Missouri, western counties, and our southeast Kansas counties, you have that flat plains area, and there have been surges of people out clogging the roads during severe weather. That is a hazard that I think is understated. Unfortunately for spotters who are out there trying to get the information back to the Weather Service, it can be truly harrowing trying to get where you need to be to get the information. Be safe out there, and if you have any questions, again, you can reach me at my email, katie0ael@gmail.com. I'd be glad to answer any questions. If there's anything else in the way of information that you would like to have, I will see what I can do to put that together for you. Be safe, and I hope to see you at a gathering soon.